let's welcome our next speaker. So our next speaker is also an exchange student, but he's from the McGill University. He's also one of the organizers of TEDx back in his country. And he's a very adventurous person. He travels a lot, especially during his visits here. So let's welcome the next speaker, Joaquim, the founder of the Alternative Ways. Give a big hand to him.
Oh, thank you very much. Does this work? Yes. Cool. So let's jump right into it. I'd like to start this presentation with a fun activity that one of the most inspirational teachers that I've ever had our class do on her first class a few years ago. So in front of you are 30 letters that together make 8 words that, if put in the proper order, make one magnificent sentence. I'll give you a few moments to try and figure it out, and whoever figures it out, I'll bring out the dinner. So has anyone figured it out? Yeah? Alright, well, that's completely fine. No one in our class figured it out either. But what it spells out is you are better than you think you are. Let me repeat. You are better than you think you are. Every single one of you in this room has a specific set of skills, of experiences, and of knowledge that together make you unique and completely different than anyone else in the room. And it is by honing those skills and developing new ones that you'll be able to succeed and to go way beyond anything you ever thought possible, because you're better than you think you are. So for the next few minutes, I'll talk a little bit about my experiences and about how I came to learn this and to internalize it into my lifestyle. I have to say though, I'm 22 years old, and so obviously I still have much to learn as well, and we're all in the same boat here, and the objective is to develop ourselves together. Now, it wasn't always easy. Growing up, I had to move 10 times in 3 different countries, and just through high school, I had to move 3 times in 3 different high schools. And we all know how high school is. It's a little bit like university, but even more intense in the fact that there's all these cliques and all. So it was quite interesting, but through a very strong family support and through deciding to have a positive outlook rather than always being sad at saying bye to all these friends, I was able to get through. And actually, in the last move before going to university, I was in Shrewsbury, and I met this friend who was actually the captain of the pole vaulting team. Now, I don't know if anyone knows what pole vaulting is, but it's that sport where you have this really long stick, and you run with it, you put it in the ground, and then you propel yourself and hope that you'll land in something that's not the ground. So this was the first experience that I had at trying to go beyond my limits. And it wasn't exactly what I expected. So it was definitely a rough moment, and I learned that although you are better than you think you are at all moments, there is failure involved. And what's wrong with failure? Honestly, there's nothing wrong with failure except the fear of what others think of failure. So stop caring about what other people think and truly try and fulfill your own potential. Now, moving forward from this, I kept these ideas in mind and went on to university. And for the first year and a half, I got involved with various different entities and organizations, business competitions, and but it was always within my comfort zone. Until one day when I was watching this extremely boring TV show, my best friend Mathieu looks to his left and asks, "Let's cross the Atlantic on a cargo ship." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean, a cargo ship?" And so we decided, why not? Let's try and do it. So we started looking at all the different ways that we could go onto a cargo ship. Ends up that cargo travel is extremely luxurious and costs a lot of money. I'm not sure why it would cost a lot of money to live in one of those containers, but it does. But what we did find was another website called findacrew.net, where you sign up to be a crew member, and captains sign up because they need crew members. And so soon enough, we were on the Nothing Wong, a 48-foot Chinese junk that has sailed the world 3 times around. It was built by Captain Clive himself 20 years ago. And this man, who has never gone to any type of schooling, taught me more in that 3-month journey than anyone had ever done so. I learned how to sail, I learned how to cook, I learned to be open to new mindsets. And so at the end of the journey, upon a beautiful night sky, I thought to myself, how can I push even further than this limit? How can I get out of my comfort zone even more? And I realized the following. Actively seek to put yourself in situations unfamiliar to you. As the more experiences you have, the more mindsets you have practiced, the more complete your life will be. And so I brought this back to university in -40 weather in Montreal, which is always a great time, and was offered to sleep outside for 5 days and 5 nights in the middle of March. This is when it's snowing, it's cold, the ground is cold, the air is cold, when you breathe it's cold, everything's cold. But we figured it would be a great way to get to know more about how the homeless live. And at first, I thought, oh wow, this wouldn't be that hard. And it actually became the hardest thing I've ever done. Because I learned that when you're hungry and when you haven't slept well, it's impossible to study properly. It's impossible to leave this vicious cycle. And so I got so passionate about it that the year after, I took over the event. And in both years together, we raised around $30,000 and raised awareness for various, for everyone across the campus. And I think that raising awareness to the problem is even more important sometimes than raising money. But that's a different subject. So moving forward, now that I had internalized the idea that you're better than you think you are, and you can do a lot more than you ever thought possible, I thought, how can I start inspiring others and mentoring others to do the same? And so with a group of guys, we went about to start a new chapter of a fraternity that would not be based upon drinking and upon social fun, but really about trying to groom the new gentlemen of the campus. People who would hone their skills in order to try and better the world, to have a lot of philanthropic events. And so, after a lot of red tape from the university, from other fraternities, and from even our friends who weren't sure it would happen, we actually were able to succeed in the endeavor. Taking initiative is always important, and the worst that can happen, once again, is that you fail. So, beginning of university, this is what my thought process looked like, more or less. And then through all these different experiences, I learned the importance of travel, the importance of helping others without expecting anything in return, the importance of not caring about what others think, about getting involved in your university, in your community, about saying yes more often, essentially the importance of taking more risk. And putting all that together, I ended up in Hong Kong. The concrete jungle, where I didn't know the language, didn't know the people, didn't know anyone or anything about the place essentially. But I figured, why not? Why not leave the comfort zone once again? And something wonderful happened. I was able to achieve 2 new dreams. The first was possible because of my exchange buddy, who hopefully is here somewhere, Timothy, who actually pushed me to finally start my dream of starting a company called The Alternative Ways. The Alternative Ways is to become a central platform that reunites the alternative ways of doing things throughout the world. It will inspire, educate, and facilitate people's access to a variety of extremely wonderful services that already exist, but that very little people know about. Whether you want to travel for a few years with a low budget, learn a new language in a much quicker way than through a university setting, learn how to invest in different manners, it will be a place for people to find their way and to share their way with others. Now, right now, it still looks a little rudimentary, but it's on the way, and I invite you to follow the journey in the next year as we grow the website. And the second dream that I was able to accomplish, or actually I'm in the process of accomplishing right now, is to conquer the sky. In 2 weeks' time, I will be flying for the first time by myself on a paraglide in the mountains of Saigon to become a certified paraglider. And essentially, I believe that anyone, no matter how small or big your goal is, if you truly put your mind to it and believe that you're better than you think you are, the sky is the limit. And so, I dare you, starting tomorrow, actually no, starting today, I dare you to say yes more often. The next time that you're about to say no to someone, say yes and see how much you're going to learn from it. The worst that can happen is that you don't enjoy it, but at least then you've learned something new about yourself and about the other person. Secondly, create a bucket list. What I mean by that is create a list of things that you will do in the next few months and put it on a wall where you can see. Every single day, you wake up in the morning and you see your bucket list and you tell yourself, I will achieve these things in the next few months. And thirdly, travel. Whether you travel someplace close, such as the Philippines or Taiwan, or whether you travel to the other side of the world, travel with the idea of seeking out new mindsets. Because people across the world think in very different manners, and culture is one of the most wonderful things to teach you about different ways of learning. And by doing so, you'll finally be able to find your way. And I dare you to find your way. And once you find it, I dare you to pursue it, because you're better than you think you are. Thank you very much.